Hey, everybody, welcome to Drive Facebook Live. I'm Tony Whistler, and this is my friend Bill Escalillo. How's it going, Bill?
Fantastic, Tony. Great to see everyone here today. Looking forward to the show. This is going to be a great show. I can already
Should
feel
be a
it.
great show.
Yep.
Absolutely. We have a great guest. We have Adrian Joseph of Team IK Auto Works. Hi, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, my friend. I'm just over here enjoying the weather, Houston, Texas.
You're in Houston, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your shop, your size, where it's at, just a little history of your shop for everybody.
Yeah, sure thing. My shop name is Team IK Auto Works, and we're based out of Houston, Texas. We've been in business for 6 years. Um, and so it's basically a three profit center type shop. It's a collision shop, a mechanic shop, and a restoration shop. It's ran by two service advisors and myself, and a staff of three persons so for example, the mechanic shop, three techs, the body shop, three techs, and then the rest of the shop, I subcontract to the both other shops. Um, bef Before that, this shop was ran by my father, who essentially passed it over to me.
Very
That's
cool.
fantastic. I would love to know, with the IK in the name, if you don't mind, Adrian, I'd love to know how that came about and the history behind it, because I heard there's a pretty good story to it.
Yeah. So around the age of 19, I decided, you know what? I wanted to customize cars. I wanted to work on cars. And so I was like, you know what? I'll create a business while I go to school, etc. And it was Island Customs, right? And so I got the sales tax, the LLC, the bank accounts, etc. going, and I would go to work in oil and gas. And then when I get out of work, I would work on my cars, quote unquote, as a business. And so that's how Island Customs came about. And then when the shop became available, instead of going and create another LLC, I essentially put Team IK Auto Works together.
Cool.
That's
I have a question
fantastic.
about that, Bill, if you don't mind me breaking in
No,
a little bit.
that's fantastic. Do it.
Where does the word island come
That's
from?
so Yeah. So I am originally from Trinidad and Tobago, which is off the
Hmm.
coast of Venezuela. So
Oh, cool.
Really?
yes, there. So I
Very
am
That is
cool. So
fantastic.
when did you come to America?
in 2002. My dad actually moved over to manage a collision shop, and so I came over on a student visa and did my education here in America.
Very
Oh,
cool.
that's awesome. So your dad actually decided to take a job in America when you guys were living there, and he
Correct.
was really rolling the dice because he doesn't really know anything, and you guys didn't really know anything over here. And he's, oh, hey guys, I'm going to take a job in America. That
Correct.
must have been a little kind of like, what are you saying, Dad? Like, what
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
mean?
Different culture, and but again, we adapted well. We adapted well, so we had a good work spirit, work energy, so it worked out fine.
Cool. So how long have you been on the program?
I've been on the drive program roughly 4 years, 3 to 4 years. 2022, I believe. October
Very cool.
2022. Sir.
Yeah.
So,
And you've attained the professional shop owner certification, correct?
correct. I attained that in 2024, and I'm working to attain my master's at the moment.
Right. And for those who we have a certification program here at Drive, and the next certification is Master of Shop Management. Um, and then, of course, we have a nice big awards dinner. Are you shooting for hitting that Masters by the time we hit our expo in September?
September, correct. That's the goal.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you get up on stage and get that trophy. It'll be wonderful.
Thanks for the motivation, the vote of
Yep.
confidence.
Yep. Yes. So no, it'll happen. It'll be great. And that takes me to the question about your education because um, you seem to me to be a fairly scholarly person. Like while you work in the trades, you have a degree, right? From a college,
Correct,
from a
correct.
university?
That's correct. That's correct. So at the age of 19, when I decided to go into oil and gas, at night, I decided to pursue my education, right? And so I have a degree, like an Associate of Arts, which I did at a community college. I have a Bachelor's of Management and Finance, which I did at U of H, but I did it at night. I have a master's from Texas A&M, their business school, Same thing. I did it on the weekend. So while I worked in oil and gas, I went to school at night and learned business.
Yeah, great.
Wow, that's excellent. I'd love to know what kind of parallels between the oil and gas industry that you were doing, when you were working there, and now that you're doing, automotive in a shop and all that. What did you find interesting for parallels or just the grave differences? You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to know what seemed to translate over and what you didn't expect when you started into it.
Yeah. So I started off on the services side of oil and gas, meaning we would go install the machinery at the bottom of the ocean, but it was customer service. That's essentially what I did, right? And what that translated over to the automotive industry was essentially a service advisor or a service manager, right? So it translated one for one, right? I'm dealing with customers, I'm managing projects, essentially managing cars going out, right? Same. So it kind of just translated perfectly one to one. Um, Here's where oil and gas helped me on the automotive side of things, right? So from a quality standpoint, oil and gas was very particular about the requirements, right? And so when I transitioned over to the automotive side of things, I made sure that my techs were certified. I made sure that we were using quality parts. I made sure that we had the right procedures. I made sure that they were using the right types of tools. I made sure that tool kits were standardized so that they're not digging in a bag looking for tools. So those were the types of things that I took from oil and gas and I brought over to the automotive to my automotive shop.
Oh, that's great. That
Brilliant.
almost sounds like you must have a fantastic quality control process also. Because if
Yeah.
you're doing all that, you know when it comes to a shop, QC's everything. It stops all the upset customers, it keeps everything smooth. So you must have a fantastic one.
Yes, yes, and even as the owner, right? I still try to get out there and get involved, right? So if let's just say it's my service advisor's job to double check the job and test drive the car, maybe I might audit them once a week, right? Or I tend to go to a morning meeting, listen to the morning meeting, pay attention to their work cells, listen, like listen to the details. And in that way, I can audit the things that they're doing or I can bring a different perspective. So,
Great. Now,
I love it.
after you have a pretty good, resume there with your university, college, community college training. Obviously, Drive is an education source as well. We deliver many workshops, and I noticed that you've done probably a dozen master workshops yourself, and you've put your employees through more than a few,
yes,
and
yes.
you have done like upwards of 20 or so action workshops. So you definitely sound like someone who likes to the understands the power of knowledge and the power of education. How has the experience been at Drive with our training side, with all of our workshops?
So that's a good note, right? So you can never stop learning, right? And so with the workshops, what it does, it gives you a different perspectives, right? You learn more from each other, the different business owners, on the way that you can approach different problems in your shop. You learn, let's just use controlling the front, for example, right? Different shops operate differently based on the types of customers, if they have fleet customers, walk-in customers, if it's a collision shop, etc. Right? So again, there's not one perfect way to run a shop, right? It's going to be tailored, but at least it gives you a good framework, and then you can draw on the experience of others.
Cool. What do you think? Which was the one workshop that you've taken that seemed to have the greatest impact on the survival of the shop or the flourishing of the shop?
So I'll split it. I'll do one personally and I'll do one kind of from the shop operation standpoint, right? So controlling the front is pretty cool. I think it tends to streamline how your shop operates and you'll see results very quickly because then everybody will understand their parts and you'll see the gaps, right? So that's on the operation side of things. On the personal side of things, I think Diane is doing a leadership one, and I am a big leadership guy. I don't like excuses, and so I try to take accountability and solve problems. Like we can come up with excuses for problems all day long, or you can do something about it. And I like to do something
Absolutely.
about problems.
Yep. Bring solutions or bring problems, right? You get to choose which either one you want to do, but one works better than the other.
Correct, correct, correct. So
Yep.
I love it. I love it. I'll be honest with you, I love the structure that you're explaining, like the picture that you're painting of it. I gotta tell you, you're doing such a good job with it just by some of the things that you're saying, some of the stuff that you're describing in your approaches. One question, if you don't mind me asking about this sort of thing, we're kind of in the beginning of the year right now, if you think about it, we really just kind of, started 2026. Do you kind of look through like kind of Tony's curriculum, for drive stuff and say to the people, okay, the people that are working for you, okay, this year you need to knock out these three, this five, or this year you need to do three or five. Do you kind of set precedents at the beginning of the year and then work on getting that accomplished? Or you go more situationally and saying, okay, we're having this problem, let's take this course.
yeah, yeah. So I did it as a development plan for the year, and I set a target. For example, a collision shop. They would be more situated around ICAR because that's the certification that governs the collision shop. And I'll say, hey, let's aim to get we're ICAR Gold, and so I'll like put a couple classes on there for them, and hey, this is what your recertification entails. And then on the mechanic shop side, it's ASC, right? And I just want to make sure like they're hitting their ASC, their certifications. And then on an operational standpoint, I try to do like team development in that I'll pick certain topics. For example, I'll choose 5S. 5S is like standardization, sorting, organizing of their tools, etc. And we'll work on that. Like it'll help them immediately in their areas. So
Very cool.
That
Now,
is extremely
tell
cool.
us about how big your shop actually is. Like, you run a resto shop, you run a collision shop, and you also have your general repair shop. How many bays do you have for the
yeah, so
GR side?
there's a lot of base here. So we'll talk about the mechanic shop, and so that we can paint a good picture. So the mechanic shop has four two post bays, right? So they have lifts with two posts, and then there's an alignment machine, so that's the fifth bay, and then there's an open area with a tire machine and a balancer. So it's basically six bays in the back of the shop for the mechanic shop. On the collision side, there is two paint cells or paint booths, and then there's prep stations in front of them. And then there are four body cells on the backside, so for body technicians, and they're fully built out, right? So tables and supplies, etc. And then that's the middle of the shop. And then on the other side of the shop, I would have two areas for blueprinting, right? So take disassembling cars and checking all the stuff they need before they go into the collision or parts ordering process. And then I have a four area set up for resto cars that I personally manage, and then I would outsource to either the body shop or the mechanic shop, or I would use it as a parts ordering project because resto cars require a lot of parts.
Mm.
So it's a
Do you
it's a
have any
big shop.
restos going right now?
I have four going right now.
Okay, you
It
got to
stays
tell me
pretty
what
full.
they
I have
are.
a running list. So,
I'd love to know what the cars are. I love old vintage cars.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was going to ask that.
So I have a 1968 Chevy C10, a 1966 Chevy C10. I have a Cutlass. It's a 1969 442, and another 69 Cutlass. So actually, I have more than four Presto projects out here right now. There's a bunch of cars around here.
What's your favorite that
Very
you've done
cool.
so far?
Oh man, I did a 1963 Triumph, and it was an off the frame restoration. Man, that thing came out beautiful. That thing came out beautiful. So it's on my
Yeah,
face. It's on my Instagram. So y'all can look up the shop and it's on Instagram.
cool. Hey, it
Yeah.
looks like Shay Hinkle's watching the show.
Yeah, Shay's my good
Good to
friend.
see you, Shay. I think you've been in some workshops with him. He's another client who likes to attend workshops and
Yeah,
utilize training. It's really good. And then Danny Montano is watching, right? Say
yeah.
hi to him.
Hey,
A
Danny.
good friend
And
Mark
Mark
Graham's
Granum.
watching too. Yeah.
Mark Granum is a regular. He
Yes.
watches the show every week. I love to
Super
have him
nice
on.
guy. He is a
Yeah, he's
super
great.
nice guy.
They'll have star
Yep.
lineups. All those guys are solid. They're very
Yep.
wise people.
Yeah. Very.
So based on how you've evolved or how the shop has grown, what's one thing that you feel like you can do now, or that like is a little bit more about just having a more rounded life that you can do now that you might have not been able to do prior to actually getting to where you're at with the condition of your shop? Like, what do you like to do for fun?
I travel a lot, Tony. I travel and I teach a lot. So I travel to Guatemala or Belize in the summer, and I teach business topics. For example, I taught on neuromarketing last year. The year before that, I taught on like some different aspects of like businesses to
Mhm.
help the Guatemalan folks develop their businesses. So I travel a lot and teach, and then my fiance lives in Colombia, and so I tend to travel to different Central American countries when I have to meet her. Um, so I tend to travel a lot on the weekends.
That's great. That's really
Wow.
great.
You get
And
that all done in just a weekend and then you're back for Monday.
That's why it's Central America, we love it.
So I imagine you don't sleep at all, period.
No,
Is
no,
that
man, I
what's
sleep, I sleep,
happening?
I sleep. Yeah.
He just doesn't require, he only requires about 10 minutes of sleep per day.
So going to school, working, going to school, and doing projects, and I have a 16-year-old son, right? So doing those things, I'm accustomed to always doing something. So it's fine. It's just part of life for me.
right,
I
staying busy.
staying busy. Yeah, I kind of have no
Exactly.
excuses. I just get up and do it.
Hey, Bill, I think it's time for a commercial break. What do you think?
It is, it is. So we got a lot happening. Next week, we're going to talk to Jason Stahl. He runs the body shop over at the over in, oh my God, I am so sorry. He's actually the editor of Body Shop Business. And it's going to
Mm,
be interesting talking with him. He's going to have a lot to say about what's going on and all that. Also, on we have on March 11th, we've got a Master of Shop Management webinar that's happening. It's going to be a leadership panel. So this is going to be the top guys talking about everything that's going on and different approaches to the businesses and all that sort of thing. And of course, we mentioned this last week. Drives back in Vegas, baby. September 24th to September 26th. We're going to be back at the Westgate. You guys will be able to see people like Tony and I do a live show right from there again. So there's a lot going on, a lot to see.
very cool. And so Adrian, you've been to a few expos, right?
Yes, sir. I've been to everyone since 2022.
Okay, so I always like to ask people on the show who have been to expos what the craziest thing that you saw at the expo was.
Craziest thing, man.
Flying Elvises, right?
Man, I don't know. I'm a weird person, man. I really just go and sit and listen and just take it all in. So I didn't like nothing really phases me, you know.
Right.
I like the dinners, and even if it's crazy or regular, I mean I just sit in there and just absorb it. So I don't know. I
Very
didn't
nice.
nothing stands out to me. It's just all good stuff.
Right.
So I just try to be a
So,
sponge when I go over there.
right. And then, so I'm guessing that when you go to the expo, you focus on the workshops we deliver exclusively for the expo, right? Because again, you seem like a workshop kind of guy. So,
Correct. Workshops. I think a couple years prior y'all had O'Reilly's, y'all had different industry folks out there. I
mhm.
think this past year it was more tailored around the software, y'all shop management software, less vendors. So every year is different. But again, just go out there and just be a sponge for a couple days and just enjoy it because every year is different.
Now, when you were at last year's show, were you able to get away to catch a show in Vegas, like a Vegas show, or? Or you just hang out, you just hang out for us.
Yeah, I just hang out for y'all. I am not a fan of Vegas. I need to be. I need to do a better job at that.
About
I'm
figuring
very
out what
focused,
to
man.
enjoy about
I kind of
Vegas.
go back to my room and just do my thing.
You know, one of my favorite things to do when I go to Vegas is get out of Vegas. I like to go to the Hoover Dam and down to the.
Yep.
I always try to carve out some time when I'm in Vegas to drive out to the Hoover Dam and go to because I love the Hoover Dam. I love to check it out. They have a tour there, and you can go and check out. You know, and then you're close to the river, and it doesn't take that long to get there.
And to
So
your
that's one
point,
of the
it's really fun to drive down I-15. You're in the middle of, especially if it's a night, you're in the middle of darkness where it feels to be hours and hours and hours and hours. And then all of a sudden, you'll just see this light start to form. And it's the casino that's out there all by itself. And,
Mhm.
all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, there's a casino, and so to Tony's point, it is fun getting out of the city.
I'll take
yeah,
your
it is
recommendation
absolutely
this year and drive outside the city because I'm not a casino guy, so I like to go see.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
in the
think
scenery, especially if you can do it during the day, the scenery's really cool to look at.
Understood.
yeah, it's funny because for two we've been in Vegas now. I can't even remember the number now, but I know it's been at least twice. And the reason I remember the number two is because both times we were in Vegas, the entertainer that was there the same weekend that we were doing our expo was Barry Manilow both times. So we went there and it was Barry Manilow, and then the next year we went and it was Barry Manilow again.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're like a touring act. We're like following Barry Manilow around. Like I'm looking forward to seeing the Barry Manilow show this year.
I don't remember
I don't
getting
know
any
who's going to be there,
royalties for that, Tony.
huh?
I don't remember getting any royalties for that.
I know.
You figured he's got enough money he could throw us a little.
Get some
Yeah,
kickback.
exactly. But yeah,
He
and
seems
then
like
we
he's
had some
doing okay
clients
for
who wanted
himself.
to go see Barry Manilow. We had a few clients that were really fans, and they were excited to go see the Barry Manilow show. So,
Yes.
but yeah, you know, he
I'd love
writes the
to ask a
songs.
question, if you don't mind, Adrian. With all the different types of profit centers that are under your one roof, because really it's three different profit centers if you think about it. A fair amount of guys out there have dual purpose shops, never mind, three purpose shop. I'd love to know how you keep it all managed because the workflows are so different for each one.
Yes.
Resto is just painfully slow. You know how that goes. But then automotive, the GR side is super fast and turnover is quick. So I'd love to know how you managing those different timelines simultaneously.
Yeah, so it really comes down to how it's set up, right? And so what I did was I used a separate soft management system for managing the mechanic shop versus the collision shop and then the resto, right? Um, so on the GR shop, I track, so I have a drive dashboard, right? And I track those KPIs separately, and that shop process is separate to the mechanic shop. And then I have the collision shop. I use CCC, and then that has its own workflow, and that's managed separately. And then the techs are paid separate, like differently from the mechanic techs, etc. So I try to tailor the profit centers as its individual business, if that makes sense.
Right. So now, if you've got a collision job and you there has to be mechanical done, then is it subletted out of your collision shop and then it arrives into the general repair shop that way? Is that how you keep your
Correct.
books?
It just sublets, correct. Because then the technician on the who's getting tracked in, let's just say Techmetric is the shop management software, he will get credit for those hours. So it's a sublet and then it gets sets up separately into Techmetric. Here's why this works, Tony. It's because now you have a separate lead, right? So in the GR world, you're trying to get inspections done because if you can get inspections done, you can write estimates. You write estimates, you get sales, right? That's how it goes. It's a number game. And so now you have another revenue stream coming because now you have a collision job that's set up for, let's just say, suspension, but then you get to check the maintenance on the car, and then there's another selling opportunity there. That makes sense? So
Yeah,
it works
totally.
out pretty well for
I love
me
it.
in that it's a double source of revenues.
And do you mind if I ask what kind of numbers you're doing? And do you, if you were to throw out a gross sales number, would that be for the overall, the whole entire business, or would it be for one of the individual verticals that what you've been talking about?
Yeah, so I manage them individually, and I'll just go give you the past 2 months, right? So on the collision side, I did roughly my goal was 80K a month, 20K a week, and probably cleared 120, either 100 or 120 back in December. I can't remember offhand right now. And then
Nice.
in January, same thing. It's like 120, 140. So the collision side has been amazing.
Cooking.
And it's normally a slow season for the collision side. And so this year it started off excellent. And on the mechanic side, it's been a little slow, but their goal is 80 and they're like 60, 70 for December, 60, 70 for January, right? But that's kind of how I manage the shop is this I set targets and then we work towards the targets weekly.
Right. Which is very good business model. And it's also something we teach in our workshops, right? So our planning for success workshop gets deep into that. And I think you've taken that. I think you took that with me. I might have been instructing that workshop when you were in it.
Yes, sir.
You're always a great student too,
Thank you,
in our
thank you. I feel
workshops, and
like
I
I'm always
appreciate you.
late, but you know.
You know, I get it. But the thing
May have
is
been
that when
time
you're
for a
there, you're
10-minute nap.
contributing. What was that, Bill?
It may have been time for his 10-minute sleep for the day. You know, who's to
Yeah,
say?
it's a Caribbean culture, man. We're always late, man. If you ever go to Brazil and you go to a meeting, it's gonna be an hour late or 2 hours late. So, that's the culture. I can't get it out of me.
It's
Trying.
Oh,
you gotta, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Bingo, bingo. I survived in
Uh,
oil and gas, so but
right.
hopefully I passed. They didn't
I
fire
would
me.
love to ask, if you don't mind, I'd love to ask what made you decide to switch careers into full-time automotive from there? Now that you mention it once again, I'd love to know what like, inspired you or whatnot to do this full-time and leave the other thing.
Yeah, so the way that I kind of approach my life, I do it in seasons, right? And so when I got here from Trinidad, I went to school and then I would learn mechanic works and nights and changing tires and pulling engines from cars, etc. And then when I got the green card and went into oil and gas. So I was working without a green card back then. Um, uh, went into oil and gas. I I was like, man, I'll never be a mechanic. I don't want to have my hands dirty, etc. And I'm oil and gas, etc. But deep down in me, I kind of still like doing it, right? That's why I set up that island customs and still kind of did stuff at night. And then as I kept going through the 20s, I was like, all right, I'm working in oil and gas, I'm learning, and I'm like, man, you know what? Maybe in my 30s I can just leave corporate America behind. I felt like I did very well in corporate America. I made it pretty high. And then maybe just do small business and see if I can make an impact not only for myself but to my community and to the people that I lead, right? So that's kind of how this phase of my 30s is going. So
that's
40s
great.
might look different. Might be teaching or something else, but so far so good.
Yeah. Well, there
That's
is a
awesome.
difference between operating in a corporate setting and being, the captain of your own ship. And I've always been comfortable in both. It sounds like you're comfortable in both, but I have to say that, what stresses come with running your own business is offset by the freedom and the ability to kind of build your life the way you want to build it. You don't have to answer, to a corporate structure. You can do it like you said. You can go teach and you can go places and do other things. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm kind
Adrian
of
is the
happy that you
corporate
did that.
structure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you
Yep.
impose the corporate structure on your team,
Yep.
Yeah, no,
but
I agree with you 100%, Tony. It's the freedom that it gives, and like again, there's no right or wrong approach. It's just have a direction, set your goals, and work towards it. And
yep,
Well
yep, I
said.
agree. Well,
Well
you know what?
said.
I can't believe this, but we are already at the end of the show, my
Oh,
friend.
these go
This
so
30 minutes
quick.
goes by so fast.
Oh gosh.
It's such a
Especially
pleasure to
when we
have you
have
on the show.
awesome guests like Adrian on, it's like you just said, you still want to talk about so much and then you look at the clock and you're like, oh, it's time.
Oh, good,
All I
man.
ever think at the end of a show is we got to have this person back to finish this conversation. And I feel that way about this one
Yep.
too. We're going to have you back
Yep.
to finish this conversation.
So
Oh,
many
And we really
incompleted
appreciate you being here, my
conversations.
friend. Thanks for being on the show. Is there anything else you want to just throw out there to the people watching before we call it a day?
No, no, it was a pleasure being on here. Again, my advice or just kind of my feedback to y'all as other business owners is continue to invest in yourselves, invest in y'all's businesses, continue to grow. Y'all are making an impact to your community and to the people that y'all lead. So, I think that um, we're more than just people making money. We're serving folks, we're helping folks, we're making sure that their cars are safe, we're leading the next generation. And so, it's a big deal. I know that we do it every day and we kind of like go through the flow, but it's a big deal. We are making an impact. And so just kudos.
Very well said. That's a
Definitely.
great place to end the show. So we're going to say goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week on Drive Facebook Live.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Have a good one.